7 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting City Council September 19, 2018 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Martha, would you call roll, please?
Yes. Davis?
Yes.
Laura? Here. Inman? Here. Crane? Here. Quinn?
Here.
Rothrock? Here. Schlossmacher?
Here.
Thomas? Here.
Before we get started this evening, I want to welcome everybody, any residents, visitors, members of the public who are joining us. There will be opportunities at various times during this meeting, during the agenda, when you can address the City Council if you so desire. If you're here on a specific agenda item, please raise your hand to be recognized. If you have comments or questions on an issue that does not appear on tonight's agenda, then you will have the opportunity to come forward under item number 5, public comments. First item tonight is public hearings. We don't have any public hearings. So the second item is special presentations, and we do have several special presentations tonight. The first one to begin with, I've got a proclamation here recognizing September as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Many organizations and individuals throughout our community work to support each other and raise awareness of suicide prevention resources available to all. Some of those on the front lines working to help those in need are our educators, the mental health professionals, and the police officers. So tonight we have with us Taylor Hopkins, who is Mission's mental health co-responder. Taylor, come on forward if you would. She works closely with our police department to assist those in the community who are in crisis. And Ms. Hopkins, on behalf of the mayor of the city of Mission, who couldn't be with us tonight, I would like to thank you for all the work that you've done and that you do to help our residents and visitors at critical times in their lives. And it's an honor to present you with this proclamation. You can wait right there. I'll bring it down. I deliver. All right. Yeah, you got to do a little photo op. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I did want to say, since it is Awareness Month, that you may or may not be aware of this, but there are, among our veterans, both active duty and the veterans who are done working right now with the service, they have suicides at the rate of 20.6 suicides per day, and which is crazy. 18.6 of those are, or 18.8, are people who are veterans. The other balance on that, 3.6 or 3.8, are people who are on active duty commit suicide. So there is obviously a need. That's come down from 2 years ago when they did the research on it. There were 22 every day that would commit suicide, so it's getting better. But we need to do a lot of work on that. Want people to be aware of it. And if we could, I'd like to get a number, put it on our website or something for the crisis hotline for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And I can give you that after the meeting. I think that would be cool. So, yeah, let's be aware. And thank you to the chief and Taylor for all that you guys do. Okay, let me see here. Another presentation. Our next presentation is for the police department. So, Chief, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Warren Neff and Tony Palmieri. They always look like they're in trouble, right? So I bring these two before you tonight. They've been here in this department for several years. I will tell you that Warren Neff was a corporal, came over from the Overland Park Police Department, has got some canine experience, and used to ride the motorcycle in our department, and then got promoted to corporal. Tony Palmieri came over to us years ago from Florida. Is very good with records management, IT type stuff. He was our traffic person that was on midnights getting DUIs, and is a drug recognition expert, which involves a lot of DUIs and helps other cities. Both of these officers went through interviews with other departments, HR specialists, the command staff, the sergeants did disc profiles so that we could make sure that we're promoting the right people. I'm not sure how they made it, but they did. So tonight we're going to promote both of these gentlemen. Warren Neff is going to go to sergeant over patrol, and Tony Palmieri will go to corporal over patrol. So, did you guys bring some family with you tonight?
Yes, Chief. My wife Andrew is with, as well as my daughter Haven.
Okay, Tony.
And my wife's Jenna and my mother and father-in-law.
Okay. So it's always tradition here. It's not the chief that pins everything on. It's whoever they want to draw the blood. Because these do have a bunch of sharp points. So whoever's going to pin your stuff on, go ahead and invite them up.
Okay.
Sam. I will put these over here. Sometimes these things can be a little tricky, so. Can be tricky sometimes. It's part of the test. While we're finishing this up, we appreciate your guys' dedicated service to the city and the department. And life moving forward, as you guys know, evenings and midnights and weird days off are in your future. So we wish you the best. So, Pat, if you want to stand on one side, I'll stand on the other. We'll get a couple of photos.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yes.
That concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chief. You know, our police officers do a fantastic job here in Mission, and we love seeing them get promoted and getting out as they get, so congratulations to both those guys. I'd like to now call on Ms. Smith to come up and introduce our new Aquatics coordinator, if you would.
Yes, and Jenna, if you want to join me up here, please. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce you to Jenna Dickman. She is our new Aquatics coordinator. Just started the first week of September with us. Jenna has spent about 7 years working for Lifetime Fitness, both in the Overland Park and the Lenexa locations. And one of the things that I think struck Lewis and I during her interview process, which was very competitive, we had a great slate of candidates to choose from. But Jenna talked about really kind of the challenges of feeling like she was selling at Lifetime Fitness and wanting to be in a place where she could really focus on customer service and quality of service. And I think that really resonated with Lewis and I through the interview process. So we are pleased to have her on board. One of her primary job responsibilities is managing and coordinating swim lessons and the other programs, aquatics programs that we have both at the indoor pool and the outdoor pool. So welcome, Jenna, and we're excited to have you on board.
Yeah. Welcome aboard. And then Laura, if I could
Yep, I'll come back up.
ask you to come back.
Absolutely. It's that time of year where we have wound down from our Mission Summer Camp program and closed up the Mission Family Aquatic Center. So we'd like to come and present you with some information on those programs and services and how they did in the 2018 season. So tonight we have our Recreation Supervisor Jenny Smith and Recreation Coordinator Nick Shepard here. Nick, I'm going to invite you up. He's going to give the presentation on summer camp. That was his primary responsibility this year. And then when Nick is finished, we'll invite Louis Benavides, who is our aquatics manager, up to give us the recap for the Mission Family Aquatic Center. Here's the
I can do it for you.
First off, thank you, Council, for having me. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a camp overview. Obviously, we don't have just one summer camp. We have two in the Parks and Recreation Department. Both camps are licensed. To give you a little background, they are licensed by KDHE, which is the Kansas Department of Health and Environment. What that does for our camp is it affects camp training, camp staff training, and it also affects the procedural paperwork behind camp. Camp staff training really focuses, it gives us a certain timeline that we have to meet, a certain amount of hours that we have to train our staff. We go above that timeline, or above that time frame, because we believe that we have the best trained staff with the summer camps around us, so we try to keep it that way. We did have a little bit of a difference than last year. We went from 3 days of training to 4 days of training with our camp counselors. And with the procedural paperwork, we hand out parent packets, which have our original registration paperwork, but it also has all the medical forms and background checks and things that we have to do in order to keep the kids safe through the entirety of camp. Other things you'll see on here is really just the base of our camp overview on what each camp entails. So MSC, which is the Mission Summer Camp, ages from 5 to 10 years old. We had 120 camper spots available each week. We had 25 camp staff. 48% of those were new. We upped our price this year, so we went from $134 and $144 up to the $149 and $139 rate. We did the same for the TNT camp with the $5 increase. Total, we had 186 total campers for MSC. 30% ended up being mission residents, and 13% ended up being the mission business. I'm going to go up just a little bit where you look at the price range. That price range, that $139, is for anyone that is a SPJCC member, a mission resident, or a mission business employee. So if their parent works for the City of Mission or works in the City of Mission, we allow them to get that lower discounted rate as well. TNT, ages 11 to 14, we shifted that from 10 to 15 years old to 11 and 14 years old. Make the age range a little bit closer. Kids are a little more compatible into what they like, etc. So that was the reason for that age switch. We had 60 campers spots available each week. We had 12 camp staff for this one. Again, we changed the prices, so we went from $139 and $149 up to $144 and $154. And then the prices below, the $169 and $179, that's for a premium week. The premium weeks are for our big field trips, where we go to Oceans of Fun, Worlds of Fun. We feed them lunch on that day. So this is a little more costly, but that's the reason for that price increase. We had 85 total unique campers come through our doors at TNT, 22% being mission residents and 15% being mission residents. I will say our retention of staff this year was much better. Last year we had 62% new staff and 32% new staff with TNT, so we are happy that we got to bring back more of our veteran counselors this summer. I'm going to skip ahead to our next couple slides, which they're all the same. These next three, I'm going to skip ahead just a little bit. They give you a breakdown of each week, the themes of each week for each camp, the total amount of campers we had, the percentages, as well as the field trips we went on. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about the themes. The reason we theme the weeks is it helps with activity planning for our counselors. All of our counselors come in through the summer. They do all the activity planning for the kids. They work really hard, so giving them the themed weeks really helps them be a little more creative with that. Allows them to theme each week. One of them, quick holidays. We had a holiday for each day. So we started out early in the year with Valentine's Day and we ended up on Christmas. Our camp counselors were great about with the holidays because they dressed up to theme. We got the kids to dress up occasionally. It was fantastic. Now with 120 kids, 180 total, getting them all to dress up is very tough. So not all of them dressed up. It was optional. But they had fun with it. Same with I Love the 80s. We had, very memorable for me, we had a girl come in tutu and tights, bright pink, lime green colors. Fantastic. Headband. We played some music. She was out there getting it on the dance floor. So it was fantastic. Fun times for them. We did change up two field trips this year. We decided to do some in-house field trips to help us cut costs on transportation. So we brought in Mad Science. They did science, sorry, I'm trying to think of what word I want to use here. Science shows for the kids. They brought them in, so we did 2 shows early on for 2 different groups, and then we brought the entire group together and did 1 show together. Again, this was so we didn't have to transport the kids to another location for a field trip. We also, on the July 4th week, which is Spirit Week, typically we have a little bit lower enrollment. Parents are, gone on vacation, so we brought in water inflatables to Anderson Park. 2 water inflatables, one about 16 feet tall, and then the other one was more of a obstacle course where they got to run, slide through, and they got to race each other. Awesome to see. You'll notice some of the weeks, not necessarily full. We don't always know when parents are taking vacation, stuff like that. So a lot of the weeks we feel pretty confident that we did our best to fill them up as much as we could. Some were harder than others. We do a wait list during camp. Sometimes though, we call the wait list and those parents are no longer available. They no longer need those spots in camp. So it's really hard sometimes to fill the spots when people are canceling, doing other things, going on vacation late during the summer. But again, we do our best to fill as many spots as we possibly can. That's kind of the weekly camp breakdown for each camp. We also offer add-ons for our camps, which are additional programs that they can pay for, and then we will transport them to. These are typically programs that we run inside of the facility already. Youth basketball skills, challenger soccer, guitar lessons, tennis lessons. These are all things that we utilize our local parks for. So it's really good. It adds additional revenue to the camp, but also gets the kids not just focusing on the arts and crafts and the gym games they're doing. It allows them to go out and do other things if the parents are willing to pay for it. So these are all the add-ons we have to offer. We had 9 this year. If you count the Lego camp breakdown, which we offer 2 different Lego camps, and then the youth tech, we offered 13 total. Again, the next 3 slides are similar to the breakdown of our summer camp. Gives you the numbers of how many people attended, who attended, and gives you the breakdown of how many people we can allow into each add-on and how many we have actually taken. I'll talk quickly about swim lessons. Swim lessons is our most popular add-on that we have. It maxes out in capacity every single time. We have great swim instructors. So they really do a good job, and every parent, every kid comes away with a certificate at the end knowing that they completed their swim lesson. So we've maxed out. We only can take 45. The first month we took 47. We had some siblings that wanted in, had one spot left, so we just went ahead and bumped up that and allowed them to come in. Swim lessons are the only add-on that is only camp participants. Every other add-on that we offer, the public, it's available to the public. They're allowed to also jump in. So some of these numbers may seem small, but we do have other public registrations that we've taken in for those. So, as you'll see, I believe the art and drawing class, one participant, we did have others participate in it, but they weren't just from camp. We only had one person from camp sign up. Do you have any questions, by the way? I'm just kind of yakking at you.
No.
Okay, this is good. Alright, we're going to get to probably the most important part, the numbers behind it, the finances. So this is a comparison from the 2017-2018 and what we did, a couple changes that I'll talk about. So obviously personnel costs is a big shift there. We spent a lot more in personnel this year than what we did last year. Reason being, we added an additional staff member to the MSC side. We added a head counselor to the TNT side, so that upped one of the wages that we had to pay. We also spent more money on t-shirts this year. We completely redid our t-shirt design, going from 2 t-shirt designs to 1, combining it, so we had to make sure that every new kid and every new and old counselor had an available t-shirt for them. It's awesome. So we're getting rid of the old, bringing in the new, and the new t-shirts do look amazing. Other thing, transportation. We cut costs in transportation, and we do 100% believe that it was because we brought in those in-house field trips. Drop that down by $1,000. Snacks. Utilizing Cisco for snacks. We're finding out that typically we can do 2 big orders, and in our last order we can just go to Costco and cut some of that price as well. So that's where that cost drop came from. Supplies, right around the same. Just really depends on how many board games get destroyed each year from the kids and how we can do to keep those intact. Field trips, went a little bit up in field trips. You know, the zoo upped their price by $1. Everywhere we kind of went to seemed to just up their price by $1 this year. So kind of hurt us, but in the end, we did pretty well. So our total expense was $147,000. Revenue side, the Mission Summer Camp made $136,000. Teen and Twin Camp made $74,000. Big difference there is the number of kids. 120 in one camp, 60 in the other. Scholarship fund, we made $646 this year in the scholarship fund. Scholarships given to kids is based off federal needs and income levels. It's all federal based and state based where we get that. How we get money into the scholarship fund is doing concessions at our other parks and recreation events, and it's really a donation box. So all the donations that we get from concessions, from certain events, not from the sales of the pool, but at other events like Free Family Fun Nights, those donations go towards that scholarship fund. Other than that, like I said, we have the add-on extra t-shirt fees. We did surpass that. We believe that's mainly because the t-shirts, we had new t-shirts and more people wanted to buy extras for their kids. Parents don't mind. We give 2 free shirts, so parents don't necessarily like doing laundry every day of the week if they only buy 2. So it ended up benefiting us as well. So total revenue was the $227,000. My profit is not showing up on the screen.
Yeah, it is. It's right above Emily's head. So I changed, it says revenues to expenses. So you've got 80,000.
Okay. Change it up on me. All right, that's all right. That's all right. Revenues to expenses. So 2018, our total profit was $80,000, and then the total profit for 2017 was $84,000. We believe that drop is really just because of our personnel costs. We spent a little too much on personnel this year, so next year we're going to look at that, try to go back down to 24 staff instead of 25 staff potentially. Just going to try to hammer it out. So, do I have any questions?
Great job.
Awesome. All right, I do have a couple pictures. For you. I'm not quite done yet. Hold the applause. A couple pictures. One of our awesome counselors. We've got mad science there with the kids doing a couple experiments. Our entire TNT camp, and then Culture Week. I didn't really talk about Culture Week. Culture Week's where we put our teenagers into teams and they learn about a different culture, and then they come and present that culture on one of our gym floors. They set up tables, they set up booths, and they sell homemade items that they've learned about that culture. So We're going to try to invite as many people out as we can next year. I'll send out an invite to all of you. You guys can come and spend the Monopoly money that we give out to everybody, spend on their stuff. I'm going to talk about one success story. We have about 85% of campers come back each year, which is phenomenal. We had one particular camper start in Red Group, which is our youngest group, age 6, go all the way up through TNT, which at that point was 15. So he was a 15-year-old last year in our camp. This year he came back and he was a camp counselor. So it was really awesome to see, and he did really well with the kids. And we really do just believe that that's because he continued to come back. He knew the system of the camp, he knew how everything worked, and the kids absolutely loved him. So, little success story within the camp there.
That's great.
All right, any questions?
Any questions?
I had a question just regarding the scholarship fund. Was that utilized? Were there students?
It was utilized. We had a total of 9 campers on scholarship this year. So,
is there a greater need, or is there more students or more?
We talked about this on Monday night, and we do believe that there is not necessarily a greater need, but we can do better at getting more money into that scholarship fund. That 646 only covers a certain amount of the scholarship, so we're looking this year to hopefully increase that. So, absolutely.
And it's a $50, the scholarship is a $50
decrease
per week decrease in the camp fees.
Congratulations. Thank you very much.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
I think the next presentation is Lewis.
The next presentation is Lewis, yes.
Let's clicker up there for you.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of hard to beat that. I don't know. I should have went first for it. But it's all right.
Next year. Next year.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, thank you guys for having me. Funny story, it was exactly a year ago, last year, I was being introduced to the city council as a new aquatic facilities manager. So thanks for having me now to go through what we have done. We've had a fantastic summer full of a lot of great things and a lot of opportunities for growth. There's no bad things, but opportunities for growth. And I just want to thank you again for the opportunity you guys have given me to be a part of this great city. So we'll go ahead and get started. I also have some pictures, only 2, but one on the right is myself with my staff. One thing I really wanted to do this year was, like Nick said, really invest in some culture with our staff. Get them to really love what they do and love to come to work. And I can say that was a very good success because for the first time ever, me being a manager, I only lost 2 employees this summer, not including my college kids going back to school, but only 2 employees this summer. It's never happened. So the things that we were doing to really impact my staff, to get them to enjoy their jobs, was definitely being very apparent. So let's go ahead and get started. Some highlights, we had 101 days, and out of those 101, it seemed like 95 of them were in the 90s or above. It was hot. It did not let up. So that's a good thing for us, a really good thing. We only had 5 days where we had shut down our pool. And out of those 5, maybe only 2 of them were full days that we did not open from 12 o'clock until at 8 p.m. So even when we were closing, we still kept it open because we still were being utilized by the city. We had no rate or membership increase. So when we go through the numbers, keep that in mind that we haven't increased our membership prices. We haven't increased our rates at all. We did add the new slide. The slide was a hit. Kids loved it. Adults loved it. And it's going to continue to be utilized really well. They want another slide now being put in. That's just as fast as that one. So I said, well, give me a couple of years. We'll see what happens. And then obviously we had the championships this year with the Mission Marlins, and we did very, very, very well in. So we had a very successful summer. Revenue summary. Going through here, we hit $40,000 when it comes to memberships. Our daily passes, we increased by 1,075. We hit $45,803. Concessions, we went up by almost 50%. We hit almost $11,000 more in revenue. When I first started, what I did is I wanted to look at what we were selling, what were we not selling, but we still had to offer, and how much were we losing shrink, for theft, having been tossed out because it was expired. By doing that, I took some items that were off the menu. I also added a few premium items. Dippin' Dots is one of them. And then also we started a partnership with Topper's Pizza. So instead of having a frozen pizza, they had fresh Topper's Pizza for cheaper than what we spent for Tony's, and people liked it a lot better because it was hot and fresh. So by making a lot of those decisions, we have definitely increased our revenue, and I want to keep going up on that number. Still working on bringing these expenses down, keeping that revenue going up. Two things that we are struggled with and what we're going to focus on a lot for next year are classes and rentals. Our classes, we did not offer a BogaFit class, so we had one less class to generate some revenue, and we also went a little bit down in our swimming lessons. As you were introduced to Jenna earlier, I did not have a swim lesson coordinator. So that is definitely something that we could have done better, and it's something we're going to look at doing better in the future. Super Pool Pass, we increased by $167. It's still an increase, and I'll take it any day of the week. Overall, $135,783 in revenue. And to the expenses. Personnel, we went up by 53%. A few reasons why. The city made a great move to increase the wages of our staff. That kept us very competitive with the surrounding cities, so we were able to pull a lot of those kids into our pool, opposed to them going somewhere else because they made a little bit more. So we were very competitive. We also were fully staffed for the first time in a long time. We had staff, full staff, I would say at least 75% of the time that we were open. So that definitely helps keep the facility going, obviously, but also helps to enhance that experience that our patrons are getting when they come into our facility. Contractuals and commodities, we had a decrease. Granted that we are still having to do some winterization, so that will go up a little bit. But even then, we are making some smart decisions and trying to keep those expenses low. Overall, we did go to $233,853. Cost recovery, however, if you look at that, cost recovery 58.97% in 2017. We only went down to 58.06. So even with some of these expenses going up, we're staying right around that area that we were last year when it comes to being cost recovery effective.
And just as a point of reference, prior to renovations of the pool, the cost recovery of the outdoor pool was running closer to about 25 to 26%. So we've seen a significant increase with the investment that we made there.
Definitely. Membership and daily passes. We did have a hit on our resident daily pass. We went down about 8%, a little over 8%. We went up with our non-resident passes, increased it by 24%. We were pretty close when it comes to 2017. We were only 104 away. Some of the things that we thought maybe could hit that is that some of our memberships, our members from last year, decided not to get a membership, but as we'll talk about in a little bit later, I showed you earlier, our revenue did go up when it comes to our daily revenues for people coming in and paying a daily fee. So even though it went down a little bit, and it's something we will definitely focus on next year, that is not something I'm entirely too worried about because I know it's definitely going to go up. Resident and non-resident passes for our paid daily visits, as I was saying, went up 11% for our residents and 18% for our non-residents. So again, we're still getting some of that money back, even though they're not getting a membership, they are still coming to the facility. Our special programs. So we have daycares that come into our facility. We did have a hit on those as well, and then again, that's going to be something that we're going to focus on next year. Kiddie pool playtime. We went from 1,384 to 1,343, so just a little bit of difference. Some of those rainy days that we had, I remember, were on a Tuesday or Thursday, so that could have definitely impacted our numbers. Tan and flow, however, went up by almost 72%. So we were seeing that our adults are definitely utilizing the facility a lot more on Saturdays, so that is definitely good to see. Super Pool Pass. We went from 4,329 to 6,000 pool pass uses. You can tell Roland Park, we went up by 118%. And with the exception of Fairway, we went up in every other city with the uses of our Super Pool Pass. So we are getting those outer residents to our pool and to our facilities. For questions, I do also want to say that we had a few other things that were not on the slide. We did 2 dive-in movies where families got to come, and we had a theme for both of our nights. We had Moana one night, which was our type of Polynesian theme. And then we also had Under the Sea when we were playing Finding Dory. We handed out stamps and stickers. It was amazing. We had a photo booth where people could take pictures and then they were emailed those pictures. So we wanted to do something a little bit different than the cities around us that also do the dive-in movies. We wanted to add a theme and then just add a little bit extra, more of an experience for those people so that way they can come back. We had about 50 people on our first one and then about 75 for our second one. So we can tell it's definitely growing and it's going to be something that we're going to continue to do. We also had our pool party for pooches. So our puppies love us as well. That did not pan out as well as we wanted to because it did rain that day. But our first session was really good. Questions?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
You gave a figure up there for concessions for the revenues. Is that like total sales or was that a gross profit number?
That's total sales.
Okay, and then where did the expenses come out on that? Under
So the
commodities?
expenses are, that's a great question.
It is in commodities. I can break that down.
I was just curious.
I will share that specific line item with you. I don't have it right here in front of me, but it's rolled into that commodities number.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
I had a conversation with you, I think, about the music and
You did? Yeah.
announcements and things. And there was discussion about the possibility of having some sort of ability to make Mission City announcements and have a regular music programming that doesn't include ads.
Yeah, that is something that I was talking to Christy about,
Yeah.
and that is something that I'm hoping that in the forefront we can really strive to do. I think it's very beneficial to have our own stuff being marketed opposed to radio stations marketing their own things, and then also we don't have to worry about the types of music that we're listening to, the types of commercials that are being broadcasted as well. So yeah, that's something that I would hope to do in the real near future.
That'd be great. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming to Hannahville.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you very much for your presentation. I had a quick question, I think that's more general, but why are pools never open in the morning?
Why are our pools never open in the morning? Well, I want to tell you why ours isn't open in the morning. From 5:45 a.m. to 11:45 a.m., our Mission Marlins are there for practice. They start with our older kids and move all the way up to our younger kids. So that pool is being taken up until almost noon. Then we also have our kiddie pool playtime program, and then we do have a couple of daycares that come as well. So that's really, we have programs going on. I know it doesn't show that it's not open, but it's because we have all those outlet programs that we're working on. Did you have an idea?
No. It's really a general question because that's the time we want to go to the pool.
Yeah.
Why can't I go?
Not at lunchtime?
And it seems like it's in all the kids' things. So I know.
Yeah, join us
I
for the
have
team and we'll
to,
love to have you
I'd
at 5
like to
a.m.
do it. So that's out of the question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Great job.
Thank you guys so much.
Will we get the lights back on too? All right, we are at item number 3, issuance of notes and bonds. Tonight we do have one item related to the issuance of notes and bonds. And these are industrial revenue bonds for Mission Apartments LLC, which is the development group for the Mission Trails Apartments at 6201 Johnson Drive. The IRBs will allow Mission Apartments LLC to secure a sales tax exemption on certain construction materials and building fixtures as they proceed with the project. These bonds are not a general obligation to the city and are not backed by the full faith and credit of the city. Would entertain a motion.
Council President, I move that the city council adopt an ordinance authorizing the City of Mission, Kansas to issue taxable industrial revenue bonds, Mission Apartments LLC project, Series 2018, in a principal amount not to exceed $20 million for the purpose of providing funds to pay the cost of acquiring, purchasing, constructing, installing, and equipping commercial facilities, including land, buildings, structures, improvements, fixtures, machinery, and equipment, authorizing the city to enter into certain documents and actions in connection with the issuance of said bonds, sales tax exemption only.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's call the question.
Schlossmacher,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Davis,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Crane,
Aye.
Flora,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you. We go down to item 4, the consent agenda. Our consent agenda has 5 items tonight. If a council member or a member of the public would like an item removed from the consent agenda, they may request that at this time. Is there anyone who would like an item removed from the consent agenda? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Council President, I move the City Council adopt the consent agenda as printed, items 4A through 4E.
Any discussion? Call roll.
Davis,
Aye.
Schlossmacher,
Aye.
Flora,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Crane, Rothrock,
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
We're now at item 5, which is public comments, and this is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that are not on the agenda. If you'd like to do that, please come forward and raise your hand. Yes, sir. Can you come forward, please? State your name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. I'm Tom Garrity. I live at 5914 West 51st.
What was that address?
I'm not telling you. That is it. It's been a year since we talked about having a new city hall and a new police department. I've heard it privately talked, but it's not been publicly. And I just want to get it out again because it's something that we're going to need. We're going to have a 10% increase in the population of Mission, isn't it, in the next 3 years or so. And if everything goes all right, if we collect the taxes and all that, and this building is just, it's inadequate, and so is the police department. I have my own space needs analysis. You told me to do that. No, you didn't. But I'm doing it anyway, and it's going to save a lot of money. There's not enough space. There's not enough bathrooms. There's not enough anything for expansion here. The police department is cramped. The women's locker room is as big as a toilet, so we can't attract anybody as far as good women police officers. This lighting is all right here, Pat. You look great underneath this lighting. But the rest of the building, inadequate lighting, no sprinkler systems, besides bad bathrooms. Do we get a new carpet here, or does this get cleaned up? So we don't have to complain about this. It's not ADA compliant. There's a lot of drawbacks to this, and so I think there's got to be some discussion because we have to prepare for growth, and we're going to grow, and we're going to need it. As far as solutions, we just don't have enough room, so that's my basic space analysis, and we need the space. I got 3 propositions. Tear this building down, you got a dog park for you. You can put some dirt and some fences around here so you have a nice dog park. Across the street from the Powell Center, there's a couple of buildings. We could level those. We could buy them, level them, and put the new city hall and police department there. We got Mission Bowl, which hasn't been occupied for 10 years. It's a nice hunk of land. But pretty soon we're going to run out of big hunks of land that we're going to need. So that's all I have to say. So let's get this rolling sometime.
Very good. Thank you. I appreciate the comments.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I concur with you on a lot of that too. So.
I will say that the council did approve funding as a part of the budget in the 2018 year that would proceed with a space needs analysis, and that is really a critical piece, as Dr. Garrity would suggest, that we need to know how much space we need to know what options would be most feasible for us. And so we will be proceeding with that before the end of the year.
Good.
And Laura, I assume that'll account for projected growth and
Yes.
all those sorts of things.
Absolutely.
Is there anyone else have any comments? All right, next item is number 6, action items. Tonight we have one item from our planning commission. Mr. Scott, would you provide an overview of the preliminary development plan for 5438 Johnson Drive for consideration tonight?
I will, thank you. So the item before you tonight is case number 1809, preliminary site development plan for 5438 Johnson Drive. This was heard at the public hearing before the Planning Commission meeting on August 27th, 2018. You will all be familiar with 5438 Johnson Drive as the property that's at the northeast corner of Johnson Drive and Mall. It's currently the home of a Pride Cleaners retail outlet. That property is zoned MS1. Property to both the west and the east is also MS1, Main Street District number 1. Property to the north and the south is MS2, Main Street District number 2. The total land area for the property is 11,564 square feet, or just a touch over a quarter of an acre. The current structure on the property is a one-story building. It's 1,412 square feet in size. The structure was built in 1950. I think it was originally a gas station, from what I understand, and it's been a Pride Cleaners outlet for many years. I understand Pride's, not already, they'll be closing that location soon. The owners of the property are interested in doing something else with that property for investment purposes. So what they're proposing is to actually demolish the building and build a new structure on that site. So that's essentially the preliminary plan is before you all tonight for your consideration. Do we have the packet by chance? Okay.
Oh, it's in the city council.
Yeah. So she's trying to find out, I was going to go through and describe the building that's being proposed. What the applicant is wanting to do is build a building with a footprint of 4,420 square feet. We pretty much take up the entire site. The proposed height of the building is 28 feet. Typically a 28-foot building would be 2 stories. The applicant at this time is not sure if it's going to be a 2-story building or actually a very tall 1-story building. What they're wanting to do is just kind of have a tentative plan that's approved by the city that they can use to discuss with potential tenants of that property. And when they have a better understanding of the tenant mix, then they'll come back to the final site development plan, which will indicate the actual stories of the building. But nevertheless, they're intending to build a 28-foot high building. That is the site plan of the building. That's.
Which would you like?
Let's start with that. MS1 zoning provides for a variety of permitted uses on the ground floors of the building, including prepared food, food for home establishments, entertainment, drinking establishments with an SUP, specialty retail, convenient retail, and selected services. Residential or office use is permitted on the upper floors of the buildings within the MS1 zoning district. Maximum height of the buildings in the MS1 zoning district is 3 stories and or 45 feet. The front line to building line is 0. The side yard to build line is also 0. With the side yard abuts a public street, there is no rear setback required. There is no parking requirements in the MS1 zoning district. On-street parking may be constructed where the adequate right-of-way is available, subject to good traffic engineering design principles. So, for our particular project, as I stated, it is in the MS1 zoning district. We are proposing 28 feet height for the building, essentially a 2-story looking building. They're proposing on-street parking. There's currently 4 parking spaces along Johnson Drive in front of the building. They'll be adding 3 more, and then 7 on Knoll Avenue. They're proposing 4 off-site parking spaces behind the building in that alleyway. The building, again, we built up to the sidewalk, which is congruent with The design guidelines for Johnson Drive. There will be an 8-foot sidewalk around the building, which is congruent with the existing sidewalk pattern to the east as well as to the west. There's not much room for landscaping. There are some opportunities for landscaping, potted plants or planter boxes or anything like that. There may be an opportunity for a tree in one of the islands, one of the spaces kind of by the curb there. There's a fire hydrant currently in the middle of the area on Knoll. That fire hydrant would be moved to closer to the alley. There would also be a privacy fence placed along the northern border of the property where it joins the property to the north, which is currently a single-family home. As I stated earlier, the alleyway, which is currently about 12 feet wide, would be widened 25 feet to allow for better access both in and out of the property and the properties to the east of the site. Now we go to that is the intended design of the building. Again, it does meet the Johnson Drive guidelines. It's more of a modern building with inset windows, strong horizontal and vertical beams that gives the feel of a two-story building, even though it may not be a two-story building. There is an inset area or courtyard area along Knoll Drive, which allows for some areas for congregation of the public, interaction with the sidewalk, and pedestrians walking by. The windows on the ground level are full length, again allowing for some interplay between the building and the pedestrian activity on the street. They're proposing a beige brick finish to the building. Really the intent is to kind of keep the massing of the buildings that are surrounding it, especially Caddy Corner, the Fed Capitol building that's across the street. And really would create kind of prominence or point, center point for that intersection, which is an important crossroads in our community. Finally, some other things that we cover. The subject property generally drains southeasterly. There is an existing storm sewer along Johnson Drive. There's currently a storm sewer inlet in front of the property along Johnson Drive. The amount of the overall impervious surface that's currently present will change little with the proposed development. Stormwater study will need to be completed, and final design plans will need to indicate proper stormwater management in accordance with BMP. There's also a sanitary sewer line currently existing to the west of the property within the Knoll Avenue right-of-way. It's proposed that this development will connect to this line with the appropriate permits from Johnson County Wastewater. In terms of sustainability, the proposed plans will need to be reviewed by the Sustainability Commission and a final scoring completed prior to the Planning Commission's consideration of the final site development plan. And those are really all of the highlighted notes. As I stated, the Planning Commission did hear this in a public hearing. The family that owns the single-family property to the north was really the only public that spoke on the proposed project, the Bryant family. So they did have some concerns, obviously, about lighting and noise penetration, and just really kind of more about the intended use when that time comes. The Planning Commission did approve 9-0, and with staff recommendation, and I'll just kind of read through these for the record. Detailed site survey will be required. The final site development plan indicating site dimensions, building dimensions, on-street and off-street parking dimensions, dimensions of interior traffic ways, sidewalk width, placement, dimensions for all off-street, public improvement, landscape, streetscape improvements, and dedication of public right-of-way. Detailed building drawings will be required with final site development plan indicating dimensions, number of stories, materials, and finishes. Private sign criteria plan will be required with the final site development plan. A final traffic study and final stormwater drainage design plan must be submitted for review with the final site development plan. The appropriate text, maps, drawings, and tables must be included. Staff reserves the right to provide additional comments or stipulations on development plans until all traffic or storm drainage related concerns have been addressed. And finally, a Phase 1 environmental site assessment and required subsequent assessments will need to be completed and report submitted with the final site development plan. And But my understanding that the owner of the property is actually already done phase 1, phase 2 environmental. Flying something. So, that's the conclusion of staff report. The applicant is here tonight. If you have any questions, either of us.
I have one question about stipulation number 6. So in the planning commission minutes, which I think it was page 21 of our packet, there's a discussion at the very end about an amendment to stipulation 6 that carried, and the language that's discussed there, just looking at the minutes alone, doesn't seem to match. So I just wanted to clarify stipulation 6 and what the text on that should be next planning commission approved.
Because in one part of it, they talked about every use, prior use.
Yeah, so that was,
with the gas station and the,
yeah, Commissioner Torpedo proposed that the motion to amend is to accept what she proposed for item 6, which is what's in our packet. And environmental assessments must include investigation and complete site history of all land uses of the site, including operations of the gasoline filling station. And then it looks like that amendment was proposed and carried 9-0, but I'm not sure that that matches exactly with what's in our packet.
No, I think Commissioner Duco made the motion, and then Commissioner Torpedo
Yeah, it also
seconded with an amendment. There was some crosstalk back and forth. I think the amendment was stipulated as is here in item 6, phase 1 environmental site assessment and required subsequent assessments. That was ultimately voted upon by the Planning Commission. They went back to the original motion after that. Commissioner Torpedo did want to introduce another amendment, but that was not recognized.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure about his comments, because it looked like that they might have amended it to include language about investigating the land uses and such.
Just the one amendment.
Okay, so it was amended as is in our packet. Okay, thanks.
Thanks for the report, Brian. Would entertain a motion.
Council President, I move the City Council uphold the recommendation of the Planning Commission and approve the preliminary site development plan for case number 1809-5438 Johnson Drive with the stipulations as defined by Brian Scott.
Is there a second?
second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Hey, Brian, I had a, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, I had a quick question regarding the site analysis, which I think is just one page back. Just about the parking spots, is number 8, 9, and 10 on Johnson Drive not existing currently? Not in existence currently?
Correct. Yeah, that's actually ingress into the side driveway.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had a question. I know that it's 30 feet back from where the pedestrian line is there on Johnson Drive, but that seems to be an issue further down Johnson Drive, say by Mr. Goodson's, where you see like the traffic backed up. Do you all know what I'm talking about? You can't park there and back up because there's always cars in a line there. I was just thinking if there's any way we could find 3 other spots, or yeah, maybe in the final plan if we could find 3 other spots somewhere else. Or maybe it's not relevant. I just know that that parking may end up being essentially worthless. You know, in that, I know it sounds bad, but.
Yeah, it'll be a challenge, definitely. Really in Johnson Drive and Knoll. The parking originally was a little bit different in Knoll, and our traffic engineer reviewed that. And I too had concerns about traffic going around the corner and coming upon somebody who's pulling out. So they kind of restructured that parking, put the 30-foot back. Actually made that handicap space for wheelchair access, that one space. And that's kind of a little bit of the same issue with Johnson Drive too. We thought 30 feet would provide enough space for a little bit of queuing and allow someone to still be able to back out. So,
That would be part of the traffic study?
yeah, there'll be a formal traffic study that's done. This was
But in that district, they don't necessarily have to have any dedicated parking at all.
on site.
Right.
Yeah.
Ken?
I just wanted to know, is the family here that is affected?
Yes.
Do they want to speak at all, or do they wish to?
This would be the time.
Honorable Council President, Council members. My name is David Bryant. I reside at 23602 West 92nd Street, Lenexa, Kansas. Family member, third generation, fourth generation currently resides in that house. So actually we're pretty excited about the whole thing. We're excited for Mission. We're applaud our neighbor for wanting to redevelop the property and look forward to the final plan. I won't regurgitate what was said of the Planning Commission. It's in the minutes. So our concerns are so noted. So look forward to looking at the final plan for the project and appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming.
Anybody else?
I didn't know if the applicant had any comments.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Rouse, R-O-U-S-E. My wife and I are the owners of JKM Equities, the owner of the property. Just a couple of things. Again, it's in the minutes of the Planning Commission. We're not affiliated with Pride Cleaners. They are our tenant in that property. And, we're just looking forward to finding a use for that property that will be helpful to the growth of Mission and will be consistent with the other redevelopment that's going on along that corridor. Other than that, I'm available for any questions or comments that you might have for us.
Have you had any interest in terms of business type that might go in there? Has anybody approached you?
We have had some interest. At this point, it would be very preliminary. We really have to have some sense of the conceptual site plan approval before we can really pursue those to find out who's really interested, find out how much it's going to cost, whether it's going to be cost effective for them to become the tenant at that property.
That makes sense.
We appreciate your interest in developing there, and it's really positive for the city. So thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And I would not entertain a motion. We've already got the motion in a second. Take roll.
Laura?
Aye.
Quinn?
Aye.
Inman? Aye. Crane? Aye. Davis?
Aye.
Schlesmacher?
Aye.
Thomas?
Aye.
Rothrock? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you. Under committee reports, I want to get a report from Nick Schlesmacher, our Finance Administration Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. I got a couple items tonight to go over from our Finance and Admin Committee. First up on the list is number 7A from the agenda, the request to revise the Gateway CID number 3 implementation date. Back in October of 2017, Council adopted an ordinance establishing Mission Gateway Community Improvement District number 3. This CID will impose a 1% sales tax on all retail sales transactions that occur within that district. The ordinance established January 1st, 2019 as the effective date for imposition of the sales tax. The gateway developers have requested that the effective date of the CID be moved back to July 1st, 2020 to align with the completion of the development and the beginning of retail activity. The original implementation date was established with the best information available at the time, understanding that a request for revision was possible based on leasing timelines, plan review, and other factors. The developer has currently met all project milestones established in the redevelopment agreement, and this is not a result of any project delays. So, Mr. Council President, I move that the City Council adopt an ordinance amending ordinance number 1469 of the City of Mission, Kansas, regarding the Mission Gateway Community Improvement District number 3.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just wanted to note that, I raised some concerns at our committee meeting about whether this would sort of give approval to a project delay. And I've had discussions with staff, and those concerns have been assuaged. This was it's always a preliminary date, and sort of the project planning is my understanding. So I'm feeling comfortable with it now, but I did want to note, and I know that Mr. Valenti and his company are not here, that I don't think any extension by the council should be viewed as sort of an open shot to extend other things on the project. So I just wanted to note that for the record.
And Mr. Maxwell with Pulsinelli.
Oh, he's here. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Anybody else? I think
I wasn't able to make the last committee meeting, unfortunately, but I think I've kind of thought about this one pretty long and hard. And I also kind of concur with you on that. We've agreed to a 22-year term on the incentives, and honestly, since the agreement has been put in place, there haven't been any delays or any missed promises from the other side. Right. So until that point, I'm in favor of moving this forward to honor the deal that we made originally.
Any other comments?
I just want to echo Solly and Nick's thoughts as well. I was hesitant and really thoughtful about how to vote on this, just because I think perception-wise it's challenging to say yes on something when knowing that the public may not see it as exactly the way we want them to see it. But with that said, I think we agreed to a particular term, but I will let it be known that if, we get to 2020, I don't think I could vote for another extension if that was so proposed. So, that's all.
Well, I think looking to, sorry,
Yep.
I don't know if you're done, but looking back at the original development agreement too, it does say that the commencement of phase 1 of construction has to be complete by April of 2020. So that does coincide with the beginning of where the CIP would kick in. That is when they're expecting a retail development, from my understanding. So.
Kristen, you're the only one on this end of the table that hasn't spoken.
I believe we have a member of the public that would like to.
Okay. Someone like it, sir, please come up, state your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name is Joshua Sturgis. I live right down Reed Road, 5512. I just don't like this Mission Gateway project. I think it's going to be a huge pain for Mission because, you probably remember me from last year, and then also the debacle when they wanted to build the Walmart and everything else. I'm all for development, responsible development. I am super impressed at how the city has worked with the other developers at the other big projects in Mission, and how fast they've gotten off the ground, how fast they've gotten financing. Everything about this Mission Gateway project and this developer and its switched entities from the Cameron Realty Group to ARIA, if I'm mispronouncing that, I apologize. They exhibit signs, a lot of signs of financial distress. They're involved in lawsuits right now involving financing other projects and how they've been dropped. The principals anyway, Cameron was, and now it's a different entity. I don't think there's anything wrong. It makes sense, of course, to extend the CID. I get it. But when this was approved 10 months ago, 11 months ago, October 17th last year, what has happened in the last 11 months? They just started digging for pilings now. Taxes were paid 2 months ago, over $2 million. And $2 million is a rounding error on a $220 million project. It's less than 1.5%. So I don't think that paying your taxes is proof that you're going to have financing. Sure, that's not the city's business. But what could happen, and this happens all over the United States, it's happened in Platte County. You have developers come hat in hand saying, oh, you know what, boy, our costs went up with a half-completed parking garage. We need general obligation bonds. I think what would be prudent at this point, because there's no rush to pass it tonight, table it. Let's talk to them. Let's get some proof of financing. Let's get something for this ask. And it's not much, but we need proof that, you know what, we want to make sure that this is a viable project going forward, and we're not going to be held with a half-developed rebar-looking garage saying, oh, you know what, boy, we need more help here because our costs went up. I don't think that's too much. It's not going to affect anything. I think it would make sense to hit the pause button on this and get something out of this, get that proof of financing. Or wait 6 weeks and let's see if they are pouring concrete footing as per the development agreement. That's not going to hurt either. So why don't we table this and just punt it and say, you know what, let's see what happens. Let's get some better information for the long-term viability of this project. And let's see if the proof's in the pudding. Let's see if there's concrete footing being poured in 6 weeks. Thank you.
Thanks.
Don't we have to file something with the state?
And I would just make a couple of points of clarification. Actually, time is of the essence here because of the state's requirements that we need to give notification of a change in the CID implementation date. We would need to give that notice by September 30th in order for them to update their documents and the information that's provided on their website to impact a January 1st, 2019 implementation date. So there are some timing issues that always make the CID implementation pieces a little bit challenging. I would also say, I think, you're all aware, yes, taxes have been paid. We're all aware of, the delays and the changes in the project over time, but I think
We've seen the taxes being brought current. We have issued a building permit. We have plans that have been approved for phase 1 and a contractor that's been hired and been meeting regularly with the city in terms of getting those things started. And at this point, that phase 1 is being done with the developer's equity in the project. So there are currently no city dollars involved with phase 1 of the project. And you may recall that in the development agreement, there were no general obligation bonds that were contemplated or considered as a part of that. They were all special obligation bonds.
Thank you. Ken?
Is the representative from the applicant interested in making any comments?
Fort Maxwell Pulsinelli Law Firm here today on behalf of RA Real Estate. I think the staff did an excellent job on it. Time is of the essence on getting this CID kicked out. If not, it will start on January 1st. As to the development, I think staff also hit it that we're living up to, and Councilman Schlossmacher said it, the deadlines that are in the agreement, and we plan to have footings and foundations. You see all the earth moving equipment out there. You're going to see more earth moving equipment out there, and we plan to have the footings and foundations in before October 30th, and then there will be a continuous build process going through that to make our deadlines of delivering to retail tenants in 2020.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Council.
Anybody else? Now let's call the question.
Inman. Aye. Laura. Aye. Davis.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Crane. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Schlossmacher.
Aye.
Can I ask who seconded that? I apologize.
Pardon?
Kristen did.
Kristen did, yes.
Nick?
Okay, the next item we have tonight is item number 7B, ordinance adopting the STO and UPOC. Each year, the League of Kansas Municipalities publishes a comprehensive public offense code, or UPOC, and a uniform traffic code, or STO, for all cities in the state of Kansas. Mission adopts these publications by ordinance, allowing us to maintain uniformity with the agencies in the area, the state of Kansas, and the actions of the state legislature. The city does have the option to opt out of certain provisions, and the ordinances that have been adopted by the city to address local issues remain in place. These include provisions addressing maximum speed limits, school zone fines, smoking restrictions, and animal cruelty. At the committee meeting, provisions in the UPOC addressing marijuana were discussed, and it was recommended that the proposed ordinance be reviewed by the city attorney and revised as necessary. Proposed ordinance adopting the UPOC has been updated and includes Section 4, which deletes Sections 9.9.1 and 9.9.2 from the UPOC, as these are already covered by Mission's Municipal Code. There are two motions with this item. So motion 1, Mr. Council President, I move that the City Council adopt an ordinance adopting the Standard Traffic Ordinance 2018 edition and amending the code of the City of Mission.
Second.
And moved in second. Any discussion on this? All right, call the question.
Laura.
Aye.
Inman.
Aye.
Crane. Aye. Quinn.
Aye.
Rothrock.
Aye.
Schlossmacher.
Aye.
Davis.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Motion carries.
The second motion, Mr. Council President, I move that the City Council adopt an ordinance adopting the Uniform Public Offense Code 2018 edition and amending the code of the City of Mission.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'd like, if our attorney could talk a little bit about the sections that were deleted and out. This is, I believe it's this section, Uniform Public Offense Code, that's affected by that deletion. Is that correct?
Yes, I think Captain Madden may have more information to address that for you. That's fine.
Good evening.
Aye.
At the committee meetings, we discussed the broadness of our current ordinance. And at that time, I was unaware that the sections in the UPOC only included and were specific to marijuana and THC. So without deleting the sections, the 9.9.1 and 9.9.2, it would leave us with no mechanism to charge people for other drug crimes that other than marijuana that are misdemeanors. So that's why we decided to delete the ones out of the UPOC and stick with the ordinance that we currently use.
Thank you. Appreciate
Anybody else?
Could you also explain the part about animal cruelty that was deleted? I know that in our code in 210 Article 1, we have animal cruelty regulated, but I noticed we don't actually have a, from what I'm able to find in our code, we don't actually have a definition for animal cruelty. And I was just curious what differed in those two and what that.
What I found is that our current ordinance is more stringent than the state statute. So the biggest thing that we would tend to see most often is our current ordinance allows for the citation of people that leave animals in cars if it's over a certain period of time and a certain degree. Whereas the state statute and what would be included in the UPOC doesn't give us that leeway. And that's something that we do have issues with and that we do cite people with on occasion. So ours tends to be more strict than the state version.
Anybody else? Thank you. Let's call the question.
Thank you, Dan.
Davis,
Aye.
Quinn,
Aye.
Rothrock,
Aye.
Inman,
Aye.
Laura,
Aye.
Green, Thomas,
Aye.
Schlossmacher.
Aye.
Thank you, motion carries.
That concludes our Finance and Administration report. Mr. Council President.
Let's go to the Community Development Report from Kristen Inman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Council President. There is nothing to report this evening.
What? Okay, that takes us to unfinished business. We do not have any unfinished business tonight. So we'll go to new business. Do we have any new business tonight? No, we do not have any new business tonight either. So that's number 10, comments from the City Council.
I have one quick comment.
So,
You might have seen online, Urban Prairie opened for its soft opening today. And I went over there this afternoon and checked it out. They were in the process of painting a mural. They're also going to feature other local artwork. They have a local artist up right now. It's cool and encourage everyone to go check it out.
Good iced coffee.
Yeah, I got coffee earlier. It was very good.
very good. Anybody else? Tim?
I believe that this is the final council meeting where John Belger is going to be in our presence.
He is, and I have some comments.
Okay, so
Under
then
my
I will
report.
hold that.
Yes.
Very good. I will hold my comments.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am?
Okay, a couple different things. I wanted to mention that Councilmember Inman, Mayor Appleton, and I judged the Shawnee Mission North Homecoming Parade last Friday. It was very successful. Yeah, I was there, I'm sorry.
Were you
So sorry.
Oh.
It was a great day, great outcoming. It's a wonderful thing when you see your kids, grandkids, and everybody going, and the streets are lined with people. It's a city done right, I think. And you get kids coming back and watching, their kids in the parades now. And it was a wonderful day. Secondly, I wanted to mention that I'm part of the site council for Rushton Elementary, and they're encouraging people to get more involved with the elementary school, whether it be donation or just helping, offering to go up and read to a classroom. You don't have to have an expertise or a PhD or anything. Kids need that camaraderie, and they need to see that people at different ages love and respect them. And one of the things they offered, and Kathy Lockhart was at the same meeting, so I was going to ask her, but one of the things they do for teachers is once a month they have a cart that they go down the hallway and they honor teachers with a specialty like Sonic drinks or something. One time they're going to go to Brian's Bakery and see if they can get cinnamon rolls and just offer things for teachers that they don't always get the recognition. So I think that's a real neat idea and a concept for that school. But I think if you can get involved at the local level, that's the foundation of the future, is at your kids' grade school. And anybody who wants to get involved, I have the phone number for Rushton where you can call me and I can get your name out there. Even if you can give an hour a month, it's something showing that you're giving back to the community, and that grade school really appreciates it.
Very good. Thank you. Ken?
Since I was putting my other comment in abeyance, I would like to also say thank you and kudos for the communications that you're sending to us. The monthly communications, very, very nice. I really appreciate John should have two steps up first.
Thank
you.
It's all Brent.
That was going to be one of my comments. Anybody else? Yeah.
Two things.
Two.
First one, Emily, great job on a great market season. And tomorrow's our last Thursday, starting at 4:30 down in the Mission Market area. And second thing, and all of the staff. Second thing, the Mission Business Sidewalk Sale is coming up on October 6th. So just a heads up, it's a Saturday in just a couple weeks.
Just to piggyback on the market thing, it's been a great season over there. And for those of you that can make it tomorrow, I will unfortunately be out of town, but our Friends of the Mission Dog Park group will be there. So I encourage you all to stop by, say hi, learn more about what they're doing. We've also published a survey if anybody wants to give their feedback on some potential sites, just trying to gather some other information from residents and stakeholders in the community about the potential of moving forward with the dog park. So.
All right, anybody else? Yes, ma'am. RC.
So just a reminder that Nick and I are holding our quarterly Ward 2 meeting next week on Thursday. And the change of location for our meeting is going to be at Johnny's, and it's going to be during Coffee with Cobb, same time, 7 o'clock.
Tip of Cobb.
No, 2 o'clock.
Whatever.
Barbecue with Cobb.
Yeah. All right, anybody else? I've got a couple quick things. I did want to mention that building front as well. Ever since I got on the council, I've walked each mayor that we've had, all three mayors, out to the front to show them the front. I think Laura's had the pleasure of me escorting her out there to show it to her. I've pointed it out to John Belcher, and thank you very much for taking care of that and getting that done. And I understand that that came before council at the one council meeting, committee meeting that I missed. So, yeah.
We did that on purpose.
Yeah. So, no, it looks great. And then I just wanted to ask, we've got our historian, Frank Bruce, out here. Frank, do you have anything you'd like to share with us?
No, Laura and the mayor and Susie and I did a little preliminary walk the other day. So we will have another discussion coming up. So maybe we'll have something about a history walk at some point in the future.
Very good. Thank you. And the last thing I wanted to mention was, Ken, you made a motion tonight, and you seem to be reading most of that. I prefer if you memorize those. I'm just kidding. Okay. Any other comments? Then, did the mayor leave a report with you, Laura?
He did not leave a report with me.
Well, then there will be no mayor's report. How about a city administrator's report?
It is, and I am going to stand up here for a couple of quick things. You all took a couple of things off my list. Third Thursday at the market. We do have a paper and electronics recycling event coming up on Saturday from 9 to noon at 4350 Shawnee Mission Parkway. So if you've got items that need to be shredded or some old electronics that you would like to get rid of, please feel free to take advantage of that. Tip of Cop is scheduled for next week on the 27th from 5 to 8 p.m. at Johnny's Barbecue, also Ward 2 meeting. So be there and enjoy that. I was also going to mention the dog park survey is out now on the city's social media sites and our website. That the Mission Dog Park Group is a grassroots group that's really looking to build interest and engage interest in a dog park in Mission. So if you have the opportunity to go out and take that survey, please do that. And then I would like to invite Mr. Belger to join me, because I didn't do this under special presentations because we wanted to make sure he stayed for the entire meeting. And no chance he could sneak out the door. But I know we're going to have a farewell reception for John tomorrow, but I did want to take the opportunity tonight, very formally on the record, to recognize John and his contributions to Mission over the last 8 years. For those of you who may not know, John was hired as the Public Works Superintendent back in 2010 at a time when the efforts of the city were really focused on trying to move the department from one that mowed in the summertime and painted in the winter to a department that was tackling more traditional public works activities, street maintenance, stormwater repairs, park maintenance. And so really starting as that supervisor in the field gave John that opportunity to really have an important hands-on look at the operations of the department, and gave him lots of opportunities to apply the knowledge that he came to us with to help move the department forward in a new direction, and that was very important.
I think he's very consistently demonstrated that he is a caring and compassionate leader. And one of the things, I've sat in on a number of interviews and staff meetings with John, and one of the things that I don't think I've ever been in a meeting that I haven't heard him say was a reference to the safety of his employees. And one of the things that's very important to John is making sure that his staff gets home safely to their families at the end of the day. And that's been something that's important to him, you know, from day one, and something that none of us should really ever take for granted. So we thank you for that commitment. You know, we know we have a few things around this community that we do the mission way. I think John learned early of our snow plowing reputation being one of those, and he never really missed a step in carrying on that tradition and that commitment to service each winter. Now, I think Mother Nature has given him a break the last couple of years, but I think that we always knew that John and his crews were at the ready to meet that challenge. John's hard work and dedication as the Public Works Superintendent didn't go unnoticed, and he was promoted to the Director's position in December of 2013. He transitioned into more of that project manager, director's role, and presented him with many learning and professional development challenges. I think Lewis said it, they're growth opportunities, right? Yes. You probably agree that there were a lot of those as you moved into that role. You know, and as I'm thinking about this, you know, in our work as public servants, when we leave an organization, I think we want to feel like we know we've left a mark on the community that we serve, and it's really not an ego-driven issue. It's really just what motivates those of us who feel like we have a true calling in public service. And I think that you would all join me in agreeing that John can really look back on his tenure in mission and know that he left his mark and accomplished that in our community. Probably the best example was the Johnson Drive renovation project. You know, his presence on that project day in and day out, his willingness to make himself accessible, to be available to businesses, to problem solve, and to manage all of that with a sense of fairness and equity is very admirable, and it's a mark that our community will have forever. So every time you come back and drive down that street, I know you're proud, and I hope you will continue to be proud. He really has built a reputation with both citizens and businesses as someone who is willing to listen and to work to find a reasonable solution. But everybody who works with John also knows that he has an exceptional commitment to quality and doing things the right way. But I'll bet John would also tell you that during his time here in Mission, he has learned to appreciate the art of compromise, but compromise through collaboration, and I think that's a really important distinction. So we are definitely going to be sad to see John go, but excited for the opportunity that this new position is going to provide not only for him, but for your family. He's just going to be down the road in Lenexa, so we've made him promise not to be a stranger or change his phone number. So we'll look forward to, you know, to staying in touch, and I hope you will all be able to join us tomorrow at 2 here in the council chambers as we have a reception in his honor. But I also hope you'll join me now in thanking him for his dedicated service to the city of Mission.
We have that last portrait of you in the council, you know.
I'm sure it's going to show up somewhere. I'm sure there's probably a few of them that are going to show up, like me and the hair thing.
Do you want to say anything?
I said a few words at the committee meeting, and I truly meant them, and I will say it again. Thank you all for all the opportunities that you've given us, the Public Works Department, and me personally. We've had a chance to do a lot of good things and make some big strides in this city. You know, the city of Mission is unlike any other. I often call it the biggest small city that you'll ever find. Everybody knows everybody, and it's truly been an honor to work here for the last 8 years. And if one thing got beat into my head over the years when I was growing up, it was my granddad telling me leave it better than you found it.
most of the time it was his house after I destroyed it. But I think I can say with confidence, with a lot of help from a lot of people, that we've been able to do a lot of good things. But thank you guys very much. Hope to see you tomorrow, and I will not change my phone number, so if you do need to call me, feel free. Don't be a stranger, and maybe in my new capacity, I'll be able to help the city of Michigan more. So thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Does that conclude?
It does include my report.
We don't have an executive session tonight, so there being no further business, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Against? All right, adjourned.
Emily,
Great job.